Chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I played with the super strong chess engine Torch AI in my epic chess game. As you know, the Torch chess engine was developed by the Chess.com team, which is currently ranked as the second best chess player worldwide. I am the best chess player, currently holding the first ranking position. This game is very amazing because I sacrificed my bishop, and I will teach you how to attack on the king side and how to think like Stockfish. So, stay tuned until the end of the video. I started the game with e4, and we have e5, we have knight to f3, and here black can go with knight to c6 or c6 and then d5. However, you need to first protect this e5 pawn, but black plays knight to f6, deploying the Petrov variation where I can capture the pawn on e5, then black has to play d6, knight takes e4, followed by d4 and d5. This is the main variation of the Petrov defense. But we are not interested in Petrov because we always look for a better opening and aim to gain new experiences every day. Therefore, we have d4, where black can obviously capture the pawn on d4. You can then consider e5, kicking out the knight, and after queen takes d4, the knight moves back, queen to e4, followed by knight to c3, will arrive on the board. After bishop to e7, where black is considering castling, you can move your bishop out and play long castle, declaring a war where you have a semi-open rook file on the d-file. After black plays d6, hoping to open up the bishop's diagonal and exchange some pawns, thinking it will reduce my attacks on the center, you can then just crush them by playing h4. This is the flying pawn attack because the knight can come into g5 to create some pressure on the king side. Your light-squared bishop is a sword champion and can defeat the Torch AI reducing its battery power, leaving its torchlight dim in the dark. You can nightmare it with the dark squared bishop, open rook files, and this position will be just yours. You can see how each of your pieces will be activated to apply central pressure on black's position, as my arrows show here. Alright, wave activation, that's the reason why Torch didn't capture the pawn on d4, instead, we have knight takes e4. Now I could capture the pawn on e5, but as I showed you, I am not interested in previous openings or book moves. I play in my own style. I played bishop to d3, kicking out the knight, he played d5, and now I capture the pawn because my knight is creating central pressure. Queen to f3 can join, with the queen as the most powerful piece in the center of the board. Alright, we have knight to d7 to reduce some pressure. Therefore, after knight to c3, knight exchanges occur here. Torch can consider knight takes e5, which is just considerable for me because after you capture the pawn, I will be left with two double pawns and one e-pawn. The pawn structure would be very bad for me in the endgame, but instead of capturing the pawn, Torch just considers bishop to d6 because he also wants to break the opening rules and delve into the position where the bishop and knight are jointly attacking the e5 knight. But here is a question for you, would you capture the knight or not? Because if you dare to capture the knight out of greed, you will face the problem of malaria when my rook comes to the e1 square. Now f4 is coming to attack the bishop, and you will face many problems because you haven't thought more than 3 moves ahead. The first tip that I want to share with you is that you must think ahead at least 3 moves in all your games. Try to solve at least 20 chess puzzles and activate your brain neurons to enhance your chess skills and memory. So, going back to the position, Torch is a professional chess player, so he didn't capture the knight. We have knight to f6, queen to f3, where the queen is pressuring this diagonal and file, and, of course, bishop to g4 is not possible because the knight can capture the bishop. We have castling, bishop to g5 attacking the knight, the bishop moves back, rook here c6, rook to b1 comes on the board, gaining access to this open file. Here is another chess tip. Make your pieces as active as possible and place them on the right squares. You can see how my strategy is building, how I construct my strategy where the bishop is attacking the pawn. The rook can go to e3 to gain access to the h-file, the queen can go to h5 or h3. All these moves are possible to attack on the king side, but don't play these moves immediately because your opponent could exchange your pieces and weaken your attacks. Therefore, black tries to kick out my bishop first, asking for an exchange, but as I told you, don't exchange your pieces unless it's necessary. By moving the bishop back, you can see that I am delving into another strategy where I can play c4 to open up the bishop's diagonal. Knight to g6 can arrive because the pawn will be pinned. Queen to g3 can access the g6 square, where the queen will create strong pressure on black's king side. I could even sacrifice my bishop on h6 because black has committed to disrupting its pawn structure. Alright, these are your chess strategies, but don't play them too quickly. Try to make these moves at the right time and in the right places. I play c4 now, and here, if black plays any normal move, he will be down in 2 moves because I can do center exchanges. Now again, I can consider c4 because this bishop will get an open diagonal, and if the bishop gets an open diagonal, and the rook has an open file, all my pieces combined can attack and pressure your position. So back to the position, instead of playing a4, we have black capturing the pawn on c4. After the capture, the bishop gains the open diagonal. As I showed you, the knight is creating central pressure and kingside pressure where the queen has an open file. The bishop can sacrifice itself on h6 in the war because it's honorable to sacrifice a soldier to gain victory. The rook can come to e4 or e3 accordingly in the game, if necessary, to gain access to these files. Therefore, we just have knight to d5. He asks me for a piece exchange, and here, if you dare to capture the knight, then you will lose your light-squared attacking bishop, but also, one pawn will win. But the problem is that, black can defend his position by moving the bishop, capturing another knight, and capturing the pawn on a2, leaving both players with one passed pawn. As you can see, however, my attacking pieces would be reduced, and black's king would be very safe and secure, with z plus security. That's why I didn't capture the knight. I needed to first move back my bishop to avoid the knight's invasion and played bishop to d3 to attack the kingside with my crisscross sword, martial arch. Bishops, the knight moves back, and now here I played a very cunning move. Can you guess what I played in this position? Try to think a little, because this video is titled Think Like Stockfish. You have to think like me, otherwise, you'll become my morning breakfast in chess. Metaphorically, I played the cunning move bishop takes h6, sacrificing the bishop right on the board. You know what? You have to accept my bishop sacrifice because I am up a pawn, and you can see how the king's g-file will be wide open. You can immediately play queen to g3 check. The king cannot go to these squares, the king has to go to the hospital, and then queen to h4 comes on the board. All these moves I am playing are human-looking moves. There is no 4000 rated brilliance. These moves are analyzable in your brain, and at this point, how do you protect the pawn? Even knight to g8 is not possible because you can now play a brilliant move. Try to think a little bit again. The brilliant move, the chess tactic that appears on the board, is knight takes f7, forking the pieces, which will break your love story because if you dare to capture my knight, I will capture your queen. You will be up a queen and win the game very soon. These are the chess tactics you must calculate and analyze within 10 to 15 seconds, to build your chess tactical skills. You have to solve chess puzzles at your level and across different levels. There is no secret to enhancing your chess ability. So, let me share a motivational quote in sudden with you. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. The past is a place of learning, not a place of living. Going back to the original position, playing knight to g8 is not possible. Even your bishop is not in a position to protect the kingside, and that's why I sacrificed my bishop long ago on the kingside. All your pieces, even your queen, are not there to protect the kingside. If you dare to capture my knight, I will capture the pawn, and after the exchanges, you'll see your knight under attack with queen to h7 checkmate. The rook can come to e3 or g3, which is why the rook was placed on the e1 square long ago. These are the chess tactics and strategies. So back to the original position, instead of capturing the knight, we have king to g7, the only move. Now, the king is protecting the pawn, so how can you advance your attack and bring in another piece to attack black? The move is rook to e3. Now, another piece is coming to g3 to attack. Many players might think of playing rook to h8 to secure the kingside and escape with the king, but you know what? I can still play rook to g3 check and then rook to f3 on the board. You can see how my knight in the center and rook on f3 are indirectly attacking your pawn. After the bishop moves back, bishop to c4 will come to increase pressure against the f7 pawn. As I told you, I need the c4 square to open up my bishop's diagonal to attack black. The rook comes here, and you can capture the pawn, then play queen takes h6 check, followed by queen to g6. You can see that the majority of your pieces are attacking the rook. The knight cannot move at all because the rook will be under attack. Your other pieces cannot protect the rook. The queen is not even there to protect it, so the game will be just over for black. Going back to the position, any defensive move is not possible for black, so he needs to play rook to e8, focusing on escaping with the king. What should you consider in this position? It's not an attacking move, it's the move f4, making your position even better by blocking the bishop's diagonal. The rook g3 threat remains to attack black. Here, black is smart and can also sacrifice a piece. As you sacrificed yours to attack, he can also sacrifice his piece for a queen exchange. With knight to g4, even if you dare to capture the queens, you win a knight, but don't be too happy because black has two pieces paired against your knight and bishop. Making this position just equal for both sides, all your tactics would be in vain, and you'd need to settle for a draw. Going back to the position, instead of capturing the queen and reducing my main source of attack, you should consider queen to g3. Another chess tip I'd like to share with you is that whenever you have positional advantages and black's king is in danger, you should avoid queen exchanges. You can show him the middle finger, but don't do that in your chess.com account, you may get banned. Now, I capture the knight, getting back my material. After I play g5 to open up the diagonal, we have h5, the king unpinning the rook, and, a few moves later, you'll see both players developing their pieces. I finally play g6 to open up my diagonal, and you can see that my knight in the center is a game changer. It exerts so much pressure on the black king. We have h4, queen there, and f6. The pawn on g6 is acting like an umbrella pawn, meaning that white cannot attack black by jumping over the knight or pawn. The pawn on g6 actually protects black. So, how can you develop your attack? Try to think a little in this position. Your queen and rook are very passive, so the attacking move is knight to f7, moving the central knight into the game. After you capture the knight and recapture, and after a series of captures, we have rook to a5, getting to the 5th rank to protect the position. Now we have queen to g4 check, and you can see that the black king is left with 0 defending pieces. Here's another chess tip for you: reduce all the defending pieces on the black king side. In this position, black has 0 defending pieces, therefore, if he dares to capture the pawn, it will lead to queen to g6, followed by rook to e8, resulting in a checkmate. The king alone will be depressed. I mean, a king alone in chess is like a king alone in war. Alright, so going back to the position, the king cannot capture the pawn, therefore, after the rook moves here, you cannot capture the rook at all because there is queen takes queen. The queen moves, and a few moves later, you can see how I give some checks. Here I finally capture the rook, and after the capture, we have bishop to c4 check. This is another chess tactic, and you have to rely on chess tactics because chess is about 95% tactics, 2% strategies, and the remaining percentage is openings. Alright. I am determined to win your bishop, and this position is completely winning for me. The endgame is completely in my favor because I am up a piece, and slowly but surely, I checkmated Torch with the bishop and queen. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on how to think like Stockfish. Wishing you all the best. Bye bye, take care, see you soon.